I have certified 914 kinetic systems across 41 years. Personal sidearms, shipboard coil guns, automated perimeter turrets, riot suppression nets, low-orbit delivery frames. Everything the compact fields that accelerates an object from one place to another passes through my office before it enters service. My signature on the certification form means the system met or exceeded its stated kinetic output under controlled conditions. I have never once questioned what I was measuring. Until assessment request 1171C, which landed on my terminal on a quiet third shift morning at Certification Wing 11, Vareth Anchorage, and which I almost reassigned to a junior technician because it looked like nothing. The request originated from a geological survey team operating in the Tesseran mineral belt. During a routine core extraction operation, a member of the team, a human contract geologist named Pelin Vasquez, had thrown a rock at a monitoring drone that had drifted into the extraction path. Standard field nuisance clearance, according to her after-action note. She described it as tossing a pebble at a bird. The drone's impact sensor logged the strike before the drone lost altitude. The field team supervising officer forwarded the log to his divisional safety office because the kinetic value on the impact exceeded the threshold for a Category 3 personal weapon discharge, and he assumed the sensor had malfunctioned. The safety office replaced the sensor. The value persisted in the original log. They filed the assessment request with my division because they didn't know where else to send it. I read the impact figure 3 times. Then I requisitioned the human for a controlled assessment session and reserved kinetic range 4, a 60-meter instrumented lane with full spectrum capture, the same lane I used to certify sidearms. Pelin Vasquez arrived the following morning in a survey jumpsuit, holding a cup of something hot. She was perhaps 40, average build by human standards, with the calloused hands of someone who works rock faces. She looked at the instrumented lane, the capture grid, the high-speed imaging array, and the 3 members of my certification panel, myself, junior certifier Den Alec, and biomechanical imaging specialist Tove Ren, and asked if she was in trouble. I told her she was not. I told her we needed her to throw some objects at a target and that it would take less than an hour. She shrugged. The protocol was simple. I placed 6 instrumented spheres on the throwing platform, 3 at 0.2 kilograms, 3 at 0.4 kilograms, identical density, identical surface friction, and asked her to throw each one at the calibrated impact plate at the end of the lane, 30 meters. No instruction on technique. I wanted her natural output under minimal coaching, the way I would baseline test any system before tuning it. She picked up the first sphere, bounced it once in her palm as if weighing it, and threw it. The impact plate registered 31.4 meters per second at contact. Point of impact was 6 centimeters from center. Den looked at me. I said nothing. Sometimes instruments drift. I gestured for her to continue. She threw the remaining 5. Velocities ranged from 29.8 to 33.1 meters per second. Mean point of impact was within an 11-centimeter cluster. She threw them the way someone tosses a crumpled document into a bin, with a brief loose motion that appeared to cost her nothing. I recalibrated the impact plate, replaced the spheres, and asked her to repeat the sequence. The values held. In 2 cases they increased slightly. Her 6th throw, the 0.4 kilogram sphere, registered 34.7 meters per second and struck 4 centimeters from center. For context, the compact issued Vren 8 personal sidearm, a standard certification kinetic weapon carried by enforcement officers across 11 jurisdictions, delivers a 0.3 kilogram round at 38 meters per second, with a point of impact variance of 3 centimeters at 30 meters. It is a manufactured weapon with a machined barrel, a magnetic acceleration stage, and a targeting interface. This woman was producing 89% of its output with her arm. I suspended the throw protocol and activated the full biomechanical imaging suite. I asked Vasquez to stand on the capture platform and throw 1 more sphere, slowly, then at full effort, while Tove Ren ran the skeletal muscular overlay in real time. What the imaging showed was something I had never seen in any biological organism in 41 years of kinetic work, and something I later confirmed exists in no other registered species in the Compact's biological architecture database. The throw is not one motion. It is a sequential energy storage chain involving 5 distinct anatomical stages, each one loading rotational energy and releasing it into the next in a precise temporal cascade. The ipsilateral hip initiates. The torso rotates against the planted lower body, storing elastic energy in the oblique musculature. The shoulder, and this is the structure that ultimately required reclassification, rotates externally to an extreme angle that stores energy in the shoulder capsule's connective tissue like a torsion spring. The elbow extends, the wrist flexes last, acting as a final stage accelerator that multiplies the velocity of the projectile at the moment of release. Each stage fires within milliseconds of the previous one. The energy is not muscular, it is elastic, stored in tendons, ligaments, and connective tissue, then released in sequence. The shoulder joint alone accounts for roughly half the final velocity. No other joint in any registered species has this architecture. Most species that produce kinetic output, a tail strike, a jaw snap, a single limb push, use one stage. Humans use 5, in series, with sub-millisecond timing, and the output scales with the mass and density of the object held in the hand at the terminal point of the chain. They do not need to carry the projectile. They pick it up. I asked Vasquez when she had learned to throw. She looked at me as if I had asked when she learned to walk. She said she didn't remember. She said she used to throw rocks at cans behind her housing block when she was 5. She said every human child she knew did the same thing. She said there was a sport. She used a word I didn't have a translation for, but it involved throwing a weighted ball as far as possible in an open field, that some humans practiced at a competitive level, and that those athletes produced release velocities above 40 meters per second, with projectile masses exceeding 7 kilograms. I asked her to repeat that figure. She did. Then Alec left the observation bay without saying anything. I found out later he had gone to pull the certification file for the Vren 9, the compact's next-generation sidearm, still in development, and compare its projected output specifications to the values we had just recorded from a 40-year-old geologist who considered the exercise unremarkable. The Vren 9's projected muzzle velocity with a 0.4 kilogram round is 41 meters per second. Tove Ren completed the biomechanical overlay and displayed the shoulder joint in isolation, a rotating, 3-axis, elastic storage structure with no mechanical analog in the compact's biological architecture database. She ran it against the comparative anatomy registry. 11,400 species assessed, 0 matches, not a reduced version, not an underdeveloped precursor. No other species has a shoulder that rotates to that external angle, stores energy in its own connective tissue, and releases it on command through a 5-stage kinetic chain terminating in a precision grip. I sat with the data for 2 days. I consulted the Classification Standards Office. I consulted the Biological Kinetics Subcommittee. I asked them what category a biological structure belongs in when it meets the output threshold, accuracy tolerance, and repeatability standard of a certified personal launch platform, but is made of bone, tendon, and ligament, and is permanently attached to the organism that operates it. They did not have a category. I created one. I filed the human shoulder joint under Launch Platform, Biological, Integrated, a new classification with a single entry. I appended the full biomechanical overlay, the instrumented throw dataset, and a note that the output values were produced by a civilian with no kinetic training, performing an activity she described as something children do. The note is the part that keeps the file from being routine, because the data is not what alarmed the panel. What alarmed the panel is that Pelin Vasquez did not know she was producing a weapon-grade kinetic strike. She did not know her shoulder was doing anything unusual. She had never thought about the mechanics of throwing. She had simply picked up a rock, the way a billion humans before her had done, and put it where she wanted it to go. I have certified 915 kinetic systems now. The last one did not have a serial number, a power supply, or a trigger. It had a name, a geological survey contract, and a cup of something hot. And when I asked it to demonstrate its capability, it shrugged and asked if it could go back to work when we were finished. The file is open, the classification stands, and every human in the compact is, by the strict letter of my own certification framework, carrying a permanently integrated, self-powered, self-targeting launch platform in each shoulder, unregistered, undeclared, and in most cases entirely unknown to the operator. I have recommended the framework be revised. I did not specify in which direction.